presentation of the Sports Network.
Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the Oklahoma Sports Network's consent is prohibited. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be used without express written consent.
Welcome to the Elgin Coaches Show. I'm Vincent Saylor on the computer tonight. I've got Chris Balvance producing all the great info for us tonight. Got a great show ahead for you tonight. We're going to talk to Coach Chalmer Wyatt. Also got juniors John Lohman and Braxton Antuna here to kind of talk a little bit about the Woodward game and what happens this week against Elk City. The Owls took care of business in their first district win for an 18th win in a row, taking care of the Woodward Boomers 60-0. Great game by all three phases of the game, of the team. All three phases scored a touchdown, had a punt return touchdown by Bryce Martin, had a pick six by Ritzenmeyer, and then the offense was able to score the rest of the touchdowns. So had some touchdowns by some young kids, had some touchdowns by some kids not often used. So it was a great overall night. We'll talk a lot about that, and we'll also talk about the upcoming game Thursday night against Elk City. Like I said, we're here from Burrito Miko, as we are every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. for the Elgin Coaches Show. I want to thank Miguel and everybody involved here at Burrito Miko for allowing us to host this event out here in Elgin, America. We're super happy about that, rather than having to travel and all that. So we're excited about that. We've got a great show on tap for you. You're watching the Oklahoma Sports Network.
Download our free apps on Apple and Android devices. Plus, find us on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Search Oklahoma Sports Network and watch from anywhere. Here, Burrito Miko for the Elgin Coaches Show. I want to thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. I want to talk a little bit about the big Woodward victory. Obviously, 60-0, took care of business, kind of ran away with it a little bit there in the first half, and then got some young kids in the second half to have the opportunity to play some football under the lights there at the Nest. About 30 days since we had been at the Nest, so it was good to be back home in the friendly confines, and took advantage of that. It was Little League night, so it was great to see all the little leaguers and little cheerleaders run across the field and get recognized at halftime as well. Got some stats for you. Caden had a good game again. He was 12 for 15 for 239 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown, so accounted for 5 touchdowns overall. Overall for the season now, he's 48 of 62, completing 77.4% of his passes for 770 yards and 8 touchdowns with that 1 rushing touchdown. Ritson kind of had a great night for most people, but only had 116 yards, 1 touchdown. Also had the pick 6 as well. Had another reception for 7 yards. That gives him 519 yards rushing and 12 touchdowns on the season rushing. He's got the 2 interceptions on the season as well, with one of them returned for a touchdown. Also had that punt return touchdown, so he's got 14 total touchdowns on the season and over 600 yards of total offense with 90 yards receiving as well.
happy birthday as well to Ritzenmeyer today. I saw it was his birthday and wished him happy birthday earlier. So anybody out there that hasn't got a chance to wish him a happy birthday. Brody had 1 catch for 14 yards, kind of a little underused night for him, but some other guys had some big games. Keegan Hillary with 2 catches for 81 yards and a touchdown. Joey Ariano had 3 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown. John Lohman, Joey, Braxton, Keegan had some receiving touchdowns. Bryce Martin had the big punt return touchdown late there in the second half, and then Dalvin Clark also had an 89-yard touchdown run to kind of cap off the scoring. So that's what it ended up being, 60-0. A great win, like I said, to open up district play with that 1-0 and get all 15 points there for the playoff seeding there. So off to a great start are your Elgin Owls. Got a big one this week coming up against Elk City. That game will be Thursday night. The Elks took care of business against Cash this week, 19-7. So that'll be a battle of 1-0 teams in district play. Like I said, that game is on Thursday. Had to be changed, so it is on Thursday. We'll have all the action live for you on the Oklahoma Sports Network with the pregame show starting at 6:30 and kickoff right there at 7. So again, but be prepared. That game is on Thursday, so it's a little bit of a road trip. So I think we'll have some people coming in and rolling into school and work on Friday a little tired, but hopefully they'll be riding that 19-game winning streak and be 2-0 in district. So we're going to be right back after this break with Coach Chalmer Wyatt, kind of recapping that Woodward victory. And then, like I said, after that, we'll talk a little bit Elk City coming up. You're watching the Elgin Coaches Show on the Oklahoma Sports Network. And we're back here at Burrito Miko as we are every Tuesday night for the Elgin Coaches Show. Like I said, again, huge thanks to Miguel for allowing us this opportunity to have a Coaches Show here in Elgin. And Coach Wyatt obviously took care of business against Woodward, starting out the district with a 1-0 victory, and also that big deal there, get the 15 points for playoff seeding. Talk a little bit about the game and what you saw before we kind of talk on some individual performances.
Yeah, first of all, it was good to be back at home.
Yeah.
It was nice to just be in our field house preparing for a game again. Went out, took care of business. Got challenged early, had to rise up and just execute. And but you capped on it earlier. I thought we made impacts in all 3 phases of the game. Saw a lot of good things from some guys, and some guys stepped up, showed that they can provide some depth and some playmaking ability. So it was a great night. Got out healthy and all the things that you want. So ready for next week.
Let's talk a little bit about Caden. Obviously had a pretty good game, 12 for 15, 239 to 4 touchdowns. Also the rushing touchdown after kind of the errant snap there. On the season, he's completing 77.4% of his passes. All the numbers sound great and all those type of things, but like I said, as an old quarterback, and you and I talked a little bit about this, Had a fumble again this week, and then also had his first interception. Like I said, may have been a little bit of miscommunication between him and Joey there. If Joey maybe throttles that down a little, but it's good to see him bounce back after those. But what is things that he needs to work on moving forward as we kind of get into this district push and potentially playoff push?
Yeah, he's playing well, between the snaps, and the things that I harp on him the most are things before the snap, whether it be we're going into a 2-minute drill and, hey, we need to talk our NASCAR pace or get to the line of scrimmage with urgency if we have motions and shifts and all the things that, seasoned quarterbacks do, and that's what he's got to learn to do as a first-year starter and be really good at them as we get down the stretch here. And just work his feet better in the pocket. When he takes off, he's got to have two hands on that thing. And I'm not the only person that's told him that for sure. But overall, pleased with him. But he's at the same time, it's really nice to be able to push him still and work on all these things and just get him to where he needs to be.
Ritson had 116 yards in the first half. Didn't really play much offense in the second half. Like I said, didn't really have any of those long runs. But then, like I said, going to talk to David at halftime, thinking maybe he had 50 yards or so. Then all of a sudden, you look up and he has 116 yards. The touchdown, also had the pick six as well during the game. Like I said earlier in the show, happy birthday, Ritson. Like I said, talk about the game that he had and kind of what the offensive line did. Like I said, Woodward tackled a little bit better than the teams we played so far, so didn't really see some of those patented long Ritson runs or anything. Had some people that were able to tackle him kind of in some space here and there. But talk about the game that he had, and Braxton as well. Braxton really didn't get too loose on the offensive side of the ball, rushing-wise, at least until Dalvin had the big run there at the end. So talk about those guys in the running game a little there.
Yeah, I mean, saw, a cover 3 shell, so there's kind of a lot of bodies around the football. And they did tackle well, once we got through the holes. But and that's something they've got to get better on, is making people miss once everything's secured, But, again, those safeties were in good spots most of the night that didn't give us, the ability to make cuts. We could have come off blocks a little bit better on the offensive line and execute a little bit better. But overall, pretty good job. But, we got to have that down the road. And, they both ran the ball hard. Quiet night for those guys, which is fine. We got in, got our work done, and got out with our points. But, they came back. We watched film on Sunday, and there's things we talk about where we got to make this guy miss when everything's blocked up, or, whether it's offensive line, and we got to come off on a combo and be a little bit better. Just with our eyes and our feet, and that's we're early, and now that we got a district game under our belt, we look to really improve on those things moving forward.
It's kind of great to have 116 yards and be an off night.
It is.
But talk a little bit, like we talked about it during the broadcast during the game. I mean, we got up about 14-0. It kind of looked like we took I heard you talking a little bit after the game about it with the team as well. Kind of took our foot off the gas pedal a little. Kind of talk about, like I said, having to remotivate and kind of get the young kids to kind of understand, hey, here's where we are. I mean, this is still a football game, a lot of game left to be played. Talk a little bit of kind of that motivation and kind of how that conversation went.
I think it's just, preaching about consistency in what we do. Like, we get a drive, we take over with the ball in our possession. Like, we've got to go execute. It doesn't matter, time or score or anything. Like, the perfect example of that is I think we took over on the 19-yard line, and we gain yards, and we go penalty, and then end up, fizzling out on fourth down. Like, that can't happen.
Right.
And that was a big point of emphasis this week and forward. Like, there's nothing good when we take our foot off the gas and get lackadaisical. Like, you don't get better doing that. So it's been a point of emphasis for us, and to just be mentally locked in those situations to keep going. Like, and that's the main focus on that. And I think our team responded well, and just got to continue to push them.
Coach Baker kind of made a point last year after the Hillcrest game to play up to our standard. I mean, sometimes in these games you get off to big leads, and sometimes that you have inferior opponents. Not the right word to say, but you know what I'm trying to say there. And I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, you got to play up to our standard and continue to get better every week. So that way you're peaking, through week 11 and things like that. Talk about Joey Ariano. Had a great game there as well. Some of those young receivers did good. Keegan obviously had the first play of the game with the touchdown on the flea flicker. Joey also had another touchdown, 3 catches for 68 yards. Keegan had 2 catches for 81 yards. Talk about those two guys and some of those young receivers that have been stepping up when Kaysen was out this week.
Yeah, Joey is I really like what he does at the receiver position. He's a great route runner. He's quick in and out. He's got great hands. A little undersized, but kind of understands where he needs to be. But again, just some tweaks. That ball that got picked off, he's got to show us our eyes earlier.
Yeah.
And we had some landmark issues with our routes with these young guys. But again, you get that, and then you get the production that they showed. And when we can meet those things in the middle, I think those guys are going to be big time contributors. That can take a load off, the running game, or when Brody's getting doubled or things like that. So just they got a ways to go, but Joey is he's hungry. He loves football. He loves football so much he scored and didn't want to give the football back to the official. And then Keegan is just a sophomore that's getting it figured out and got ability to be a big game changer for us. And we're hard on those guys just because they're both first year. Starters or contributors, and they just need to get to where we need them to. But, man, there's a lot of potential there, and that's the fun part about it.
Let's talk a little bit about the philosophy. I mean, this is our fourth game. I think we've started on offense every game. Talk a little bit about that philosophy. I know a lot of coaches like to defer, so sometimes that's why we get the ball. But when we do win the toss, a lot of times we do decide to take the ball. Talk a little bit about that philosophy, and then obviously coming out first play of the game and running the flea flicker.
Yeah.
Talk about, like I said, getting that offense on the field and getting things moving and why we decide to take the ball most of the time.
I mean, it's half a dozen, one or the other. A lot of people have that philosophy. I just like to put pressure on the other team. I think that if, one, we can, win the coin toss and take it, we're going to get the first possession of the game, and hopefully in a game of possessions that equals that we have more than them.
Yeah.
And then, I like to, we like to get ahead and put pressure on them. Putting our defense out there is, that's a daunting task at times. And I just like to be aggressive in that regard. And I think last year we were 14 for 14 in getting the ball first, whether we want it or not.
I believe that was the stat. And like I said, I think so far this year
we're on pace there. But I just like it. I don't know if it's what our team is kind of molded with that kind of being our philosophy or how we start games, but it's been a good mixture for us and a good just good tempo, good feeling to start the football game. So that's just our thing. We're going to keep doing it.
Like I said, John Lohman also had a touchdown. Talk a little, obviously he's starting at safety this year, but also got to get in there at receiver. It was good to see him get a touchdown. Like I said, we talked about Joey Braxton also had a receiving touchdown. Don't use our backs as much in the passing game as some teams, but both of them are starting to kind of come along in that passing game a little. So it's good to see Braxton as well get out there, and then Dalvin had the big 89-yard touchdown as well.
There's a plethora of guys that contribute or can be contributors. You talk about Joey Keegan, both the backs. John can mix in at any time offensively. Corday, obviously. So, and it's the same way in the back end. Like, those are a lot of the same guys that I think we got 6 guys back there that can do some things for us, and same way on the offensive side out wide. And so it's it's a great problem to have because, one, it'll keep us fresh, if we get in those situations. And obviously these guys, the more multiple they can be in the positions they can play, it will, obviously help them out and help us out, and just be able to spread the ball around, keep guys fresh, and be able to keep doing what we do on offense without having to, peg ourselves into one hole.
And then talk about Bryce Martin. Like I said, whenever he gets his hand on the ball, it's kind of electric. Decided to put him back there as punt returner, and all he does is take one to the house as well.
That was great to see. A burst and quickness that's hard to match. And I think that's what makes him great at corner. That could be a wrinkle for us. If we can make sure he's, we feel good about him catching it, then that's an added weapon in the return game for us. So
that gives another opportunity to get Richardson a little bit of rest between the two, offense and defense.
And you can put a weapon out there like that, and it's he plays a lot of defense and is very minimal on offense. But any way we can get him to change the game like that is big, and use his speed and quickness any way we can.
And then obviously defense. I mean, we had the touchdown. Ritson had the pick 6 touchdown, but also held them scoreless. Had a big kind of, not necessarily goal line stand, but kind of had the goal line stand there towards the end of the game from the young kids. Talk a little bit about how your defense played all night. Obviously no points, but like I said, played well all night. And then, like I said, huge shout out to those young kids there at the end to keep the shutout in place.
Yes, I thought we tackled a lot better this week, which was a big emphasis. And then I think that we started out a little slow with that first drive. But locked in well. I thought that we canceled gaps pretty well with all of the stunts that we were doing. We were getting in and canceling gaps and getting back to the gaps that came open. And so, obviously shutouts are shutouts. That's great, and that means you're doing something right. I thought that we played well in the back end, breaking on balls. Still some things to improve there, but obviously had the interception. I thought we pushed zones well and communicated good for the most part in the back end. And, when we had the second half, we rolled some guys in and saw some good things out of those guys. And then the goal line stand, we'll call it a goal line stand.
It was inside the 10, so of course.
Yeah, I mean, if
it was first and goal at some point.
If there's time on the clock, we're playing defense. We're going to be going if you know who runs the defense. So it was good to see. It was a good night. Got some guys reps and some guys on film that can potentially do something for us in the future. So overall, pleased with our defensive effort, and I thought it was a really good win to build on for this week going into Elk City.
So we talked about it during keys of the game. I mean, on the back end, you just kind of talked about the back end a little. One of the keys to the game was kind of have better eyes. Can you explain kind of that to our audience, kind of what that means from the coach's side of things?
Yeah, what we do defensively, a lot of our read work is with our eyes, and you have to have good eyes. As DB, you can sometimes sneak your eyes in the backfield when they shouldn't be, just because maybe a team is running it, and you get lazy with your eyes. You just think ball's handed off. So we challenged them to kind of be really disciplined with our eyes this week, and we stood on the other side of the defensive team during practice so the coaches could see their eyes, which I think is it's what you should do sometimes, and just train them to be more disciplined in that and getting our reads and our read steps and read and reacting. Because as we go down, our schedule, there's going to be some guys that will run a bunch of tough concepts, and that's when you have to be at your best. Like, you have to be really disciplined with your technique and your eyes, and then breaking on and talking. Communication's a big key back there. With within the call that we have communication on route structure and what we're getting, and we got to communicate, and safety corners got to communicate on each side and be really good. Because as a DB coach, I'm paranoid because we're the last line of defense. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and one bust and it's easy 6. So it's paramount how much our discipline and just how we're locked in defensively back there matters, and it's just something that you constantly have to get better at.
All right, so said usually we have players of the game to discuss and things like that, and usually it's posted through the quarterback club and the Elgin football site. No players of the week so far posted. Can you talk a little bit about kind of what's going on there?
Yeah, it just boils down to as a team overall, not keeping up to the standard, as a player, as a student. And, we need to send a message to our team. Obviously we held some guys out for the start of the Woodward game and just told them, those things matter just as much as Friday nights. You know what I mean? And that's the program we run. And whether it was, success that creeped in and, thought that, we could kind of do our own thing, we can't. There's no leeway in that. It's no different than last year. We didn't run out with the black flag one game.
Yeah.
The standard is a standard, and when we're not making that, we've got to do something to correct it and get back on path. I think that you just can't let things slip, and we've got to continue to build and correct and get our team where they're at. And they've responded really well, and they now know it's really important.
Right.
But so moving forward, we look to hand out all those awards, and that's something we have pride in as a coaching staff. It's the first thing we do on Sundays when we meet is we talk players at the game, and everybody is locked in because it's important, and we go through the stats and talk. And so when we don't get to do that, it's no fun, but we got to make corrections. You got to make corrections.
Coach, obviously 60-0 victory over Woodward. Anything else to kind of put a bow on that game? Anything else that you learned from your team during that game that you'd like to share with our audience?
Man, I just thought the overall depth that we played with, position to position, was good. I think that's great for us moving forward, is just to have some depth, some guys that can go when we need them, and that's what the more the merrier. The more the merrier that can play on Friday nights. The coaches believe in, and so that was good to see, and great effort, and it's just fun to get back out there in Elgin, and overall good night, got it done, and back on the road.
So, like I said, I obviously took care of business against Woodward at 60-0. That kind of puts a bow on that game. We'll be back after this break to talk a little bit Elk City and see what's going on there with the game Thursday night. Going to talk a little bit kind of about how we handled this week with a little bit of a shorter week and things like that. So we'll be back after this break. You're watching the Elgin Coaches Show on the Oklahoma Sports Network. here at Burrito Miko every Tuesday at 6. Join us live. You can watch the show here live, or you can watch it live on the Oklahoma Sports Network. It will be posted on demand as well after an hour after this show is over, so you can go back and watch it at any point. Watch it on Thursday morning prior to the game, or listen to it on the ride up to the game. Got a little bit of a road trip this week, obviously. Game on Thursday. Kind of talk a little bit about that. Obviously, we played Friday night. Quick turnaround to play Thursday when you got about a 2-hour road trip ahead of it as well. Yeah. Talk about kind of how you condensed the schedule a little, and what the boys are doing, getting prepared for this week with the short week.
Yeah, we have to modify for Thursday weeks. We
got one in a couple weeks as well against Weatherford.
Go back to Weatherford on Thursday, so it's different. So when we modify, our version of it is, luckily for Monday we have our 9th JV game, and it was in Lawton, so it's not a far trip, right? So we don't have to really in practice early. There's times where we would. So we were fortunate there this week to get pretty much a full practice in on Monday, and then you kind of have to just accelerate everything else for the week. We came back today and had probably 20 more minutes than we usually would go on Tuesday, just to make sure we get everything in. And then, after practice Tuesday, we usually go in as a staff and figure out if we want to go true pregame script, or we want to modify it with what we do at practice. Yeah. And so we've got a plan for tomorrow to get in, get out, and and you also have to stay healthy and stay fresh for our Thursday game. So do a good job as a staff communicating kind of what we want to do with install and everything else to get it in for a short week. And so up to this point, we've done a good job, and we'll walk through tomorrow and be ready to go Thursday.
Elk City coming in after a big victory against Cash last week, 19-7 over those guys, so that we're both undefeated, obviously, in district play so far. Tell us a little bit about what you've seen from Elk City on film so far, and what should we expect on Thursday night.
Yeah, Elk City is physical, and that's just their brand. It's been that way for a while. They've got, probably 2 or 3 talented running backs that they hand it off to, with, some big fullbacks that lead it, and they're really secure with their run game, gap-wise, and they kind of use some extra backs in the backfield, so the gaps end up being the same, but they're coming from different positions, basically, and so it's going to be, big physical matchup on the line of scrimmage. That's going to be probably the keys of the game there. And then they've got a talented receiver out wide that I don't think he played last year against us. I think he was injured, but he's back, and he's a good deep threat. And they do some things out of the backfield that, we've got to have good eyes, and when they run them out of the backfield, we got to be able to pick them up. And defensively, they've shown numerous things in the back end and at backer level. So we've got to kind of be prepared for a lot of the movements and back end spins that they give us in a short week. So, you've got to be pretty sound against that. Going up there, been a while since I've been up there.
Yeah, it's been. Yeah.
Dang, I don't know last time I was up there.
They were in that district in 4A. I don't know if you guys would have went there Tracy and them's freshman year, but that would have been last time we were in 4A in their distrct.
I don't think we did.
Yeah,
but I've been there before. Something a little different. It'll be a grass field.
Yeah.
And probably about an hour, 50-minute drive, 55 minutes for us. So, it's a big road trip, and you got to get on the bus, and you got to get off the bus ready to play, and that's going to be kind of what we're going to be preaching tomorrow and into Thursday. But big-time matchup. They're 1-0. We're 1-0 in district. So it's important that we play well and execute and rise up to the challenge at the line of scrimmage and do all the things right for Thursday night. Yeah, we can't get that right, can we?
No, I always want to say Friday. Casey was held out last week, precautionary reasons. Is he good? We look forward to seeing him back this week.
Casey's healthy.
Okay. Good. Glad to hear that. So far, 4 games in. Obviously we're handling the injury bug fairly well. Not too beat up, so that obviously helps as well. Talk a little bit, though, like I said, kind of going back a little bit to that Woodward game. Talk about how important that is to get some of those guys in there on Friday nights and or Thursday nights to get some of that action. And like I said, it's one thing to play those JV games, like I said last night at Eisenhower or whatnot, but talk about what it's like when, like I said, they get that run on Friday nights in the nest or on those home on those visiting fields and things like that.
Yeah, you can't emulate it. You can't emulate anything other than being on the field on Friday night, game speed and everything else. So, and we're rotating quite a few defensive linemen. Yeah. And all those reps that they're getting are making them better and getting those guys poised for just more rolls, more snaps, and just being able to improve their technique. We played several linebackers last week as well. and saw some good things from them. And it just all goes back to the depth that, we're playing with a little bit. And obviously in the back end, we're rolling a few guys. So, and it's not, we're not doing that because, we're injured or this. There's a lot of guys that can play, and we got to figure out, I think it's healthy competition amongst those groups. And so it's great, anytime you can do that and develop. And that's obviously, it was a big deal last year for us, is when we got in those games, we were able to develop guys that now contribute a lot.
Yeah.
And so when we can do that, it's just making us better for the future as well.
Coach, I want to thank you again for always joining us here at Burrito Miko for the Coaches Show. Congratulations, 18 in a row. Still moving and kind of kicking in that direction. And look forward to this one on Thursday at Elk City. And good luck, and we'll see you there at the game.
All right, man.
You're watching the Elgin Hours Coaches Show on the Oklahoma Sports Network.
Celebrating 10 years. We are the Oklahoma Sports Network.
And we're back here at Burrito Miko every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. for the Elgin Coaches Show. Got two players here with me, two juniors, I believe, John Lohman and Braxton Antuna, affectionately known as Tiny. You hear that a lot on Friday nights. This week, hopefully, on Thursday night. John, we'll start with you. Obviously, first-year starter back there on the back end. Talk a little bit about playing safety and how you've enjoyed being a starter this year, these first four games.
Well, it's real fun just to finally be out there with all my guys, and just it's fun just reading the receivers, and just, it's just real fun,
Yeah, I hear you got a touchdown this week. Congratulations on that on the offensive side of the ball. So is it what's more enjoyable for you, a touchdown or an interception?
Oh, interception for sure. I enjoy defense a lot.
Okay, there we go. So I know one of your neighbors, we had Irv Randall in the house Friday night, former NFL player, brother of NFL Hall of Famer John Randall. I know he's one of your neighbors. Talked to him this week a little bit about, like I said, saw him at the game Friday and talked to him a little bit this week about being your neighbor and all that kind of stuff. Said, so what have you learned from him, and what is he said he's got a couple extra things to teach you now that he's actually saw you play live during the game.
Well, he first of all, he kind of like convinced me to play football a little bit. He kind of was just agging on me about that, but
doesn't hurt to have an NFL player ask you
no,
to play.
No, not at all. But yeah, he's been great. He's a real nice guy. He'll be giving me some tips and tricks across the street sometimes. So I like him.
There you go. Tiny, I'm going to come over to you now. Tiny obviously had the receiving touchdown this week, and kind of talk a little bit, like I said, kind of getting involved in that passing game a little bit more. Talk a little bit, like I said, about the running back position and how you and Ritson kind of are able to kind of have that thunder and lightning kind of roles there, and talk about kind of trading in and out with him during the games.
Yeah, I think it's just real well how we can just change up like the tempo real quick, because we're both two different tempo runners, and I just think us two back there, no one can really stop us.
And obviously getting those rests on offense sometimes obviously helps. Both of you are starters on the defensive side. Talk about how y'all kind of can, like I said, make those changes in and out. And I mean, you tap each other in and out. And is that kind of a thing that you guys do? The coaches kind of control that. Talk a little bit about that on the offensive side.
If either one of us get a big run, we're gonna be tired, and so I'll come in for him, or he comes in for me. I mean, just us both being back there just it really helps out the team a lot, because we both play both sides of the ball.
Yeah. So kind of asked John about this earlier. You're both sides of the ball kind of guy. what do you enjoy? He like the interception better. Are you a touchdown guy or a linebacker, or are you interception / sack guy? Which one do you like better?
I'm definitely a touchdown guy, for sure.
I got you. So we got an offensive guy and a defensive guy here. John, going to come back to you for a second. We always ask this every week. There's no telling what kind of answer I'm going to get because one of your teammates has said lunch. I mean, one of them said none of them. A lot of times we ask the seniors where they're headed next year, but obviously we're happy to get you two guys back in the owl uniforms next year. But, John, what's your favorite subject in school?
If football counts, that would be it.
Okay, that's the first time we've got a football so far. All right, that one does count. Tiny, same question for you.
My favorite
subject in school?
Subject in school? I'm going to go with math.
Math. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got multiple maths.
Yeah.
So obviously you got some people there that likes to do numbers and things like that. Is it math because you want to see like your rushing average and
probably.
adding up those touchdowns and things
Yeah.
like that? Is that what we're talking about? Are we talking about full blown like
Probably just like adding up my yards.
There you go. All right, so hey guys, thanks a ton for joining us tonight. Congratulations on the 4-0 start. Look forward to continuing to watch you guys as the season goes on. And like I said, again, thanks for joining us a ton. You're watching the Elgin Coaches Show on the Oklahoma Sports Network. And we're back here at Burrito Miko as we're here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. to bring you the Elgin Coaches Show. I want to thank Coach Wyatt, want to thank John Lohman, and want to thank Braxton Tiny Antuna for joining us tonight. It's a huge victory over Woodward, 60-0 to start district playoff 1-0. Got a big one this week against Elk City. Both teams coming in undefeated in district play. That one will be on Thursday night, so we will have all the live action for you on the Oklahoma Sports Network. Pre-game show starts at 6:30. Game starts at 7. So for Vincent Saylor, also on the computer tonight, Chris Stepdaddy Valvance in the house as well with me. Want to thank you all for joining us. Want to thank Burrito Miko for allowing us the opportunity to host the show here. And as always, go Owls!
Thanks for watching this presentation of the Oklahoma Sports Network.